Hello, everyone, and welcome to Weekly Manga Recap, June the 7th of 2018. It's our first podcast of the new month, Chris.
June's going to be our month, Nick.
Okay.
I think this is the month where we really explode. See, I feel like we're not big in the housewife, the 30 to 49 age bracket. And this is where we start taking off. You want to know why, Nick?
Why is that?
Because I see all these old biddies going in, and they love that book club, and we found a pair of panties in one of the movie theaters, so clearly we just need to get, what's his name? Emilio Estevez? Is he in book club? What's his name? Book club, IMDb. We can't get Jane Fonda. She's beyond us at this point. But I think we can might be able to get Peter Fonda. Is he alive still? Craig T. Nelson's Andy Garcia. That's who I'm looking at. We'll get Andy Garcia on this show, shirtless. I bet he's still in great shape. And that's how we'll get all the ladies watching, Nick.
Okay. I don't think that I was actually aware that there was a movie out right now called Book Club.
How have you not heard about it, Nick? It's huge.
Because I'm not a woman in the 30 to 45 age bracket.
Well, I'll be honest. The target demographic of that movie is a little bit older than that.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, I could go ask Nicole if she's heard of it.
I was like, unless she's a huge Diane Keaton, Jane Fonda, Candice Bergen, or Mary Steenburgen fan, she probably hasn't. But there's a lot of people who are fans of those four actresses, so they're all about that.
Okay.
So yeah, that's why.
So what you're saying is we need to have some somewhat older, very famous actresses appear on the podcast to have a book club with us.
Yeah, where we read 50 Shades of Grey and discuss saucy things like being old and having sex.
Okay. You work on that, Chris.
I'm going to. I'm going to be like, hey, Jane Fonda, how you doing? Is Peter dead?
What an awkward question. It doesn't matter if he is or not. It's an awkward question, is it?
She's like, you could have just looked it up. The internet's so free and available.
You're like, I figured it was best to, ask a more reliable source than
hey, he is still alive. Good for you, Peter Fonda. 73 years old. Oh, by the way, I wanna mention this off the top. There is a Discord for Weekly Manga Recap now.
Yes.
I'll try to include the link inside the episode itself, like in the description for it on YouTube. If you're on Podbean or if you listen to it on iTunes, I guess just go to there. Or you can also head over to the Weekly Manga Recap Twitter, and it's going to be pinned onto there. We got boards set up for discussions, for current chapters coming out. For whatever our current recommendation is, we have a channel set up specifically for that. So if you want to talk about this recommendation, if you're reading along with us, or if you've already heard of it, you can talk about it there. There's a My Hero role-playing thing that's happening on the side there. There's a wrestling nonsense channel if you're into that. It's wackiness. It's all that sort of stuff. It's cool. If you're interested, go check it out.
Yeah.
Thanks for the ringing endorsement, Nick.
Yes.
It was like a
yes. There, happier.
Yes, much happier.
I'm going back to my normal volume. Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay. I am actually a little bit tired today.
Oh, Nick, come on. I need your energy.
I will get into it, but I spent most of the week studying auditing, Chris. It's not the most...
Are you going to audit Weekly Manga Recap?
There's not a whole lot to audit there. Now, if I tried to audit Patreon, then that might cause some trouble. All right. Let's do this thing, Chris. Let's do the recap portion of Weekly Manga Recap. Let's talk about superheroes and swords and sorcery. All right. Where were we in My Hero? It was the hero popularity poll. I have forgotten what happened last week multiple times today. We
don't have to rely on my memory for today, do we?
I meant more in terms of where we left off, once I looked at the first page, I was like, all right, that's where we are. Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I was
Cool.
gonna say, I was like, I remember being really upset that
Exactly.
Fat Gum and Gang Orca weren't on there.
Yeah.
But people obviously don't get that was like a joke anger because they kept trying to provide real explanations as to why they're not on there. And I'm like, no, I get it. I'm just
Shut
angry
up.
that the two characters I like that are super cool aren't on this list instead of a washing machine. I get it. I'm sure there's a reason. But they still
How can you
write the essays.
It's the laundry hero Wash, Chris. Don't you talk shit about him. He'll clean your shit.
Reminds me how in Banjo-Tooie there was one level where like the secret animal transformation you got was a washing machine, and you had to be a washing machine puzzle solving thing for a bit.
Clonk, 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 clonk.
It was a weird level.
After they made that a joke in the first one, like he just occasionally Mumble will just turn you into a washing machine, and he's like, "Oop, Mumble got to work on his magic," and turns you back.
Nick, let's start up a Banjo-Kazooie podcast.
With all those games that we could talk about, all 2.5 of them.
There's also Yooka-Laylee, which is basically a spiritual sequel, I believe. I haven't played it. I don't know. Heard it's great. I don't know. Heard it's okay.
Do you just want to do a podcast about 3D platformer collector quests?
Yes, actually, that's a new podcast. But we theme it around Banjo-Kazooie. So every time we talk about a non-Banjo-Kazooie game, we're just like, this is what Banjo-Kazooie would have done instead if it was for Banjo-Kazooie. First of all,
Chris.
wouldn't have included Earthworm Jim, would have included Banjo-Kazooie.
I don't know, Chris. I think that you are definitely not giving Ninja Bread Man the credit it deserves.
Fuck, I think I have heard of Ninja Bread Man.
Okay. Anyway, it's chapter number 185.
Oh,
Winged
no.
Hero Hawks.
I was thinking of Ginger Dread Man, the horror movie where Gary Busey plays a killer gingerbread cookie.
Oh, wasn't that like the Ginger Dead Man or something like that?
Ginger, I can't remember if it's Ginger Dead Man, yeah, or Ginger Dread Man. Yeah, Ginger Dead Man. And they made, I think, 3 of these.
They made multiple movies, yes.
I just remember the back of the box had, like, a kill where he covered a girl with whipped cream toppings. And I was like, is that supposed to be scary? Or is this a porno, too?
The idea was that he was one of those, funny slasher villains. But, I don't know. I don't think that those are ever as funny as people want them to be. That's,
we have Gary Busey as your lead character.
Yeah.
So, all right, I forgot the second one was called Ginger Dead Man 2: The Passion of the Crust.
Oh God.
Oh, please tell me Gary Busey reprised his role. No! Damn it!
What the hell else was he doing at that time? Seriously.
I don't know. He's gone now.
He's like, didn't we say everything we needed to say in the first Ginger Dead Man?
He's like, we've done enough.
No, I think that for the sake of preserving the art form of the first one, I should just step away from this project.
I don't even get the pun on Saturday Night Cleaver. Oh, Saturday Night Fever. I got it. That one sucks.
So, last time in My Hero Academia, they basically just went over the top 10 hero rankings, basically popularity poll, but also dealt with some other factors. And this chapter deals with getting to know the top 10 heroes a little bit better because they get a little chance to speak and comment on the rankings and what it feels like to be, voted up to this point. Meanwhile, while this is going on, they start the president of Heroes Public Safety Commission, who doesn't have a name, that's just her title. She's going to each of them in turn in order to give them a chance to talk. And the wing hero Hawks is kind of like leaning over and whispering to Endeavor, be like, "Hey, how does it feel to be number one?" You're just like, "The fuck you want, kid?" So you go in turn. Ryukyu says, "I don't know if I should actually be ranked number 10. I would have withdrawn if that were, allowed." Which, it's like, what the hell prevents it from being allowed, actually? You could have decided not to go. Whatever. Meanwhile, the shield hero Crust is this really weirdly emotional, enthusiastic guy who keeps on butting into other people's comments like an asshole. Because Ryukyu makes the comment and she said, "Oh, I should have. There were lives that I couldn't save, so I have to, actually work harder to earn my ranking next time." And Crust's like, "I feel the pain in your heart. We must stand still." Shut up. She's having a moment. Shut up. Shut up.
I got very distracted, Nick. I continued reading the plot of Ginger Dread Man. I just need to note this.
You need to stop.
Hold on. I just need to explain. I'm going to read a paragraph to you, Nick. And I think this may be the greatest paragraph I've ever read. As the cookie's about to finish them off, Pickles and Tina return from time traveling with the FBI agent in security, along with Adolf Hitler, Charles Manson, Jeffrey Dahmer, and Leslie Borden. All 6 time travelers overpower the cookie, stuff him into a cookie jar, killing him. Everyone who died has come back to life, and the time travelers go back to their own time period, including the ant who goes back in time to prevent herself from causing Pearl Harbor with her skating.
So we get comments from the other heroes, and there's basic stuff. Samurai Guy is just like, the mission is the same as ever. Kami Woods is the new kid, so he talks about how awesome it is that Deadshot let him on his team. Let's see here. Crust talks more because that's what we needed. Mirko says, like, "I'm going to kick your asses, criminals." So, and Deadshot starts to go into this big heroism speech. An interviewer says, "Hey, if it were just talking about public approval, you'd actually be in 3rd place instead of 4th." And he says, "The numbers don't actually concern me. I am grateful to all my supporters." And eventually, he goes on and on. Is like, "Oh, preserving the law, that's the order and true measure of a hero." And Hawks finally says, like, "Oh my God, who cares?" And he just grabs the microphone at this point and says, "Hey, if we're just going off of public, support, then Best Genius would actually be number 1, and Deadshot would be 3rd, and Endeavor here would be 4th. So, yeah, okay, public approval matters in determining the rankings on this, but look, our symbol is gone. The symbol of heroism is gone, and today is a turning point in our history. So." Who cares about all this PR-friendly soundbite stuff that you guys are saying? Try coming up with something actually heroic to say. And so then we get, a kind of reintroduction to him, talking about how he's only 22 years old. He got into the top 3 rankings, top 3 of the rankings in the last rankings. He's accomplished a lot in a really short period of time. He started his own agency when he was 18 years old. He made it to the top 10 as a teenager, the only person ever to do that. So, yeah. Meanwhile, while all this stuff is going on, we see Fatcom and what was it? Rocks? I forget. Rocklock. They're watching the proceedings from the crowd, and they're talking about commenting on stuff. In fact, I was like, he's doing things at his own pace. And Rocklock's like, that arrogant jerk. So, of course, he's the grumpier one about it. I feel a lot better about him after, seeing his, wife and child. But still, it's like, you're still kind of a stuck-up asshole. Hawks, who flew up in the air to make his whole comments, flies back down to pass the microphone off to Endeavor, and again he just rubs in. It's like, "Hey, okay, you're up next, guy with lower approval rating than me." Not bitter. So everyone's like, "Oh, what's Endeavor gonna say after something like that?" And he's just like, "I don't have much to say. Just watch me." And I was like, "Okay." Later, in Endeavor's dressing room, I guess, Endeavor is, kind of roughing up Hawks for the stunt that he pulled. And Hawks says, "Hey, everyone was just rattling off the usual lines. I decided that I needed to shake things up." And Endeavor's like, "Oh, so you were testing me." And Hawks says, "Well, I was more assisting you, I was giving you a chance to, show what you're about. And he says, I was never a big fan of All Might. I didn't want to be like him. But the fact that he's gone now, you're never going to be idolized the same way that he was. And we need a new leader at this point. So the fact that you were able to handle things that way, that was reassuring. That was actually pretty cool. And Endeavor doesn't really trust what he's saying. He thinks that he's trying to mock him. And so he's just like, all right, well, you're still a jerk, and I don't really care for people who would behave with the way that you do. And he says, go apologize to the others. But before that, Hawk says, hey, actually, I got a proposal. I think that we should team up, because back in my neck of the woods, there's been some nasty sightings of the Nomu. And we cut away to a abandoned kindergarten, or a empty room in a kindergarten at least, where someone approaches a new type of Nomu, which he addresses as high end. And it looks really gross. It looks like there's like ripped away skin all over its body, primarily around its neck and head.
It's got an interesting design, definitely.
The elongated, drooping neck. So this was a chapter, Chris.
I like this chapter. I mean, we essentially follow up with last week by giving at least a little bit more of each character. So, like, we get a little bit more to be like, oh, Miraku's, like, really fucking, like, I'm going to whoop everyone's asses. And, we got a lot more from Hawks. And fucking Wash is just going to say Washa a lot. Like, he's a fucking Pokemon, I guess.
I thought that was like his One Piece laugh in the last chapter, but no, apparently that is everything that he says.
So basically everybody got a little something to kind of expand upon their character a bit. And obviously we're getting a lot more about Hawk, which is, I think, kind of nice because he's such a weird sort of surprise to all of this.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't really, almost everyone else on this list is either relatively low enough you could build them up or we've known about. So, like, Edgeshot and Best Genius, Endeavor, like, we all kind of knew about these characters, but this was somebody who's like, oh, hey, this dude's hot shit. Like, maybe potentially, like, on a level of All Might crazy good, because if he's, he was a top 10 hero when he's 18 years old, and most of the characters we're following are, like, 2 years beneath that, nowhere near that level. Like, it's pretty crazy to think about. I'm not sure what this next arc's going to be, but it seems interesting. I'll tell you, I'm really actually excited about the idea of Endeavor being involved in a big arc, because he's going to be one of the more, I think, divisive characters in this series, because I think there's just going to be a lot of people who aren't going to be able to kind of forgive him, which we've talked about before in length. But I'm interested to see where this character's development goes, because I like the idea of seeing a character who's trying to recover from their past and has such a huge shadow to kind of step out of with All Might. And I like the introduction of him just being like, I don't have much to say, just watch me, It's just kind of a cool thing, and I'll be curious to see what happens if he's the character who has to be in that kind of All Might role when one of these big action arcs comes around. I have no idea what the fuck happens at the end of this. I have no idea where that Nomu is or anything like that. I don't have any, guesses with that, but I'm pretty excited about everything else so far.
Yeah. All right. I don't want to dwell too much on this because we've got Boruto to talk about this week, so let's do that. Boruto! Introducing Kawaki. It's chapter number 24. Kawaki. That opening picture, Chris. He looks like he looks like a wrestling heel, doesn't he? With that pose and the hair and the look.
I'll be honest, the hair I kind of dig.
The hair's pretty cool.
I almost kind of want the hair. Look, this kid is trying pretty hard. Like, look, I mean, he's supposed to be 12? This is what every 12-year-old who thinks they're cool thinks they look like. In reality, they look nothing like this. They're really tiny. Their hair sucks. They don't know how to stand. Like, there's nothing about a 12-year-old that's inherently cool, but I like the way that this one's like, yeah, kids, this is exactly what you want to look like, right?
He's the new Sasuke.
I'll be honest, I'm already more interested in him than I was Sasuke, so.
I had a really hard time, like, even absorbing this chapter because I just kept on blanking out into this kind of state of, I don't care, so.
Well, here's the thing. I understand that. It's going to be tough, though. You're basically going to be dragging yourself through Boruto at this point, if that's the case, because this is obviously the setup to every kind of foundation the series is pushing itself forward on. Like, here's their Akatsuki, here's your rival character element to it. Like, if none of this works, Boruto is not going to work.
Pretty much. There we go. There's two people sitting at a table in a hut somewhere. One's eating, and the other gets upset. And she smashes the table. But he uses superpowers to reappear a new table with wine on it in front of them. Ooh.
I thought that was pretty cool. I like the way they kind of phrase it, where she just like fucking smashes the table. And it's clearly not like he brings the table back, because you can still see the smash one over there. He's just like, fine, new table. I'm back to my meal. Bitch. Fucking keep ruining my steak or whatever, my egg I'm eating. Oh.
He like restores the whole thing. He's like, I guess I'll just have to eat 1.5 steaks and wines, and just like, I mean, you could just make it so that you apparated only a half a steak and a half a glass of wine. Like, no, I just have to have more.
That would be a waste.
I hope you don't smash this one, so I have to eat 2.5 steaks and wines.
She just gets on the table, squats over, and shits on top of it. He's like, oh, I can't.
No, now if I have any more, I'll have to eat 1.5 shits.
She's like, fuck you. I beat your system.
They talk about stuff. I didn't absorb any of it.
It's a very anime villain group conversation where we see two characters and we're meant to get a glimpse on their personality. Our Jigen, who I think is the leader of the group, we see he's kind of got like a charismatic sort of personality to him, very calm demeanor.
Shitty hair.
As Delta is the other chick, or the other person. She's obviously got a bit more of a temper, and she's talking about how impatient she is, and how something might be happening, how she wants to go. Like, she basically is just waiting for permission to be like, can I go fucking see what's going on here? And I'll be honest, I think it's very by the books, but it just does enough stuff to kind of get me interested. I think it helps that they use the one female character of this group, as opposed to the collection of other nameless dudes of this group who I still haven't absorbed. At least this, I was able to
look, another guy in a cloak and a mask.
Yeah, I was like, these two at least are opposite. Yeah,
they're very distinct from each other. They have very different hairstyles and faces.
Very different personalities.
Yeah. So, meanwhile, over with Boruto's group, they've discovered the kid that was at the end of the last chapter, who, of course, we learn this chapter is called Kawaki. And so they're like, oh my gosh, he's unconscious. He must have fought the puppets. And but Boruto starts to have a reaction. The karma on their hand seems to react to each other. Then we get dream flashback from Kawaki's perspective, where he wakes up in this hut. And he sees a cloaked figure speaking with a guy who has a similar hairstyle to Kawaki, which means that they are father and son, because I guess that you can't have different hairstyles when you're parent and child in the Naruto world. That's actually something that I never considered before, but parents look bizarrely like their kids in Naruto.
The only way
all the time. All the time. Like, the only reason Naruto didn't look like Kushida was because he looked like Minato. They looked different from each other. So basically, the cloaked figure buys Kawaki from Kawaki's father. And he goes over to Kawaki and is like, I bet you've suffered a lot, but that's all over now because I'm taking custody of you. Don't worry. From this point on, I am your father. And it's the Jigen guy. And so he's like, there is nothing to be afraid of. Come here. Let me give you a hand hug.
Let's go. As he just grabs it by the top of the skull.
This is the most comforting, reassuring gesture I can make. So, Kawaki wakes up in the present, and he's like, get away! And he kind of has a Dragon Ball moment, just a surge of energy blasts out from him. Makes a crater around him and knocks the others away. And Konohamaru is like, he really did beat those puppets. Yes.
Konohamaru's not. He's like a very Captain Obvious character suddenly.
Yeah, we're going to get like 2 more chapters into this, and he's going to be like, did I come out here with another ninja? What was his name?
So he gets back, he's like, now you guys remember that Boruto's father is the Hokage. They're like, yes.
As you know.
He's like, you guys may have heard that we are ninja. They're like, was there an end to that sentence, or was your stupid observation all you had to say?
Now, I'm sure that you have heard that turtles can be ninja, but humans can be ninja as well.
In fact, some say we're even better ninja due to our opposable thumbs.
Don't the Ninja Turtles have thumbs? Shut up!
He's like, no! They have 4 fingers. The other one is just an extra thumb.
So, but you said they didn't have any thumbs. They have 3 thumbs!
But if they're all thumbs, then none of them are thumbs. Stupid.
That's not how that works.
I don't have time to explain Ninja Turtles to children. They're like, no, that's exactly what you do with Ninja Turtles.
He's actually an expert on everything related to Ninja Turtles, but doesn't understand anything else is the problem.
He can go on for an hour about Krang, but he cannot explain to you that person who just died.
Well,
who he was.
Depends on which version of Krang that you are talking about, because there are multiple versions of Krang. If you're talking about the comic book version, then he was a minor character.
He's like, do you know, originally they all had the exact same color headband. That was only changed later to make it more kid-friendly.
What? Also, Shredder gets dropped on a fucking hand grenade in the first story arc. He dies immediately. So, anyway. Guy. Stupid-haired kid. He believes... Kawaki. He believes that the Boruto team are trackers from Kara. And they're like, what? No! Where? And Konohamaru's like, wait! Boruto! Let me explain! We are from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan club. I am the president, Konohamaru.
In this group, I would, of course, be our team's Leonardo. Boruto can be our Donatello, because he looks like a nerd. I'll be Mike.
I hate machines!
I'll be Raphael, because he's also pretty cool. And I'm pretty funny as well, so I'm also Michelangelo. You guys can be April O'Neil and Casey Jones. I don't care which one of you picks which, because they're worse than the Turtles.
You can be that one stupid kid who wanted to be a Ninja Turtle, but he was a dumb human kid.
You can be Baxter Stockman. He's not one of the heroes. That's why you're Baxter Stockman. No one can trust you, tongue dude. And I get to be 3 of the Ninja Turtles, all the cool ones.
Wait, which Donatello am I? Am I the one from 2012 who's in love with April?
No, because I get all the chicks too, because I'm the cool Ninja Turtles. Oh, is there any canon where the Ninja Turtles actually canonically get with April O'Neil?
I don't know how the 2012 series ends, but they were ship teasing Donatello and April the whole way through. I think all the rest of the versions just kind of have like hints of love interest the way the kids' cartoons do.
I was just about to go to Google, and I started typing "Have the Ninja Turtles," and I couldn't think of how better to express it. Says that say banged April O'Neil.
Chris, you're going to go down a rabbit hole. Okay.
Well,
you're gonna go down a manhole cover if you do this.
Well,
right?
I already know of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles porn parody, which had
one?
The best one, where they had the parody name of Dongatello and Michelangelo, which I was like, this is so perfect.
Anyway. So Konohamaru is like, we friendly people, but people from Kara start to show up. There's, the girl we just saw before. There's Koji, the mask guy, who was like, he has karma, bye. And they basically just start to kind of watch what's happening from a distance between Kubota? Kawaki. I don't care. Okay, so between Kawaki and the others. And he's like, what do you guys want with me? And Konohamaru is like, well, we just happened to find you in the course of investigating the crash landing of an airship within our borders, and we want to know what's going on, so could you tell us? And Kawaki's like, why should I trust you? Leave me alone. Konohamaru's like, no, we can't do that, because protocol dictates that we have to take you into custody, by force if necessary. Kawaki's like, well, fine, I guess you want to die. Good job letting you handle it there, Konohamaru.
Yeah, he takes like the worst approach to this sort of thing.
We will apprehend you by force if necessary. Will you tell us what's going on?
You, 12-year-old, you will be beaten down and arrested if you do not comply. I know I just saw you explode like a 20-foot meter of earth, but I still will arrest you if you get in my way.
I'll subdue you with my police baton. It's almost as effective as a shuriken.
He pulls out every shitty Ninja Turtle weapon, but they're all just made out of shurikens, like a shuriken katana, a shuriken nunchuck.
This one's banned.
He's like, kid's just like, you suck. Why does your teacher blow so much?
So Boruto, seeing that the negotiations aren't going well, decides to take a different approach and is like, hey, look at this marking on my hand. You've got one on your left palm, right? And Kawaki's like, karma, why do you have one? And Boruto's like, what is it? And the girl in the distance is like, he's got a karma? What? And so Kawaki concludes that they are trackers from Kara. And before they can convince him otherwise, like, I'll kill you all. But before that can happen, someone arrives wearing a bunch of ninja scientific tools, and he's got like a Mega Man cannon on his arm. And he's like, I've come to retrieve our precious vessel. And he's apparently from Kara as well.
I love this dude because he's so comedically adept at his job. Like, he shows up at the most inopportune point when they were already about to come to blows with each other. And he shows up and he's like, so you've made contact with the vessel. I guess Ao, who was a traitor and working for our organization, must have messed up. He's making us other outers, which is a term used within our organization, look bad. And so much so that the other two are just like, fucking idiot. Fucking idiot.
Shut up. He takes out like a hollow map that blows up into like a 16 by 10 screen. And he's like, fortunately, we're not very far from Kara's base. It's only a 2-mile trek to the west.
When you get to the double bridge, you've gone too far. Turn back and wait for the tree that splits into sevens. That's actually our secret base's entrance.
Anyway, I need to take this kid, whose name is Kawaki, and I'd actually be an ally with you if he knew what was going on, and I knew the whole story, back there. You can learn the secrets of what happened to him if you go into this room.
He's like, now I'll defeat you with my giant claw hand. I mean, it doesn't have very good direction for it, and it's pretty weak structurally towards the back. But otherwise, it's indestructible.
Anyway, everyone hold on just right there because it doesn't have very reliable aim. Hold still.
And whatever you do, please make sure you don't knock off my gas mask. I have terrible breathing problems and am easily subdued by natural air.
Oh no, I've been subdued by natural air.
Oh, some got in. He gets a fight. He's like, some got in anyway. Oh.
If you had just waited around long enough, the arrow itself would have taken me down.
Passes out. His last word's like, our leader's name is Cheek and he can summon things. Just like,
it's really good if someone knocks his table over.
So, I fucking, who's this guy? Oh, that's Goober Paul. We normally don't give him missions. I think he just wandered into this one.
Anyway, I'm gonna take revenge for my chin. I haven't forgotten that you took it. You know, I've got a really weak jawline now that I've had to have it artificially replaced.
I mean, really, like, one shot's enough to take me down.
Kawaki attacks him. He's got some sort of transformation power in his arm that someone's, like, spine blades from it. And he attacks this dude and forces him to block. And the guy's like, oh, you seem rather debilitated. This'll be easy if you don't exploit my very obvious weaknesses. And Kawaki says, yeah, right. That's basically it. So that happened.
Now, I'll be the deferring voice here. I kind of like this chapter. I kind of dug Kawaki in a way. I think this is a story that would bore me to death if this was not in the Naruto universe already. Because if this were like a brand new series you create with this premise, I'd be like, who the fuck? Like, I just, like, it's too generic. But when you put in the Boruto universe, I can compare it to what already existed and just kind of get excited about getting something different. Like, I like this character as kind of a different version of Sasuke. Like, yes, it definitely feels like this universe is like edgy Vegeta kind of character or whatever. But like, those characters are kind of fun in their awfulness at times. Like, I'm kind of excited to see how far they go with this dude. Like, I want him to have like a motorcycle he rides out on after this or some shit like that, or they give him like a 12, like a shotgun or like a laser pistol or something. I'm just kind of intrigued by him. And the villain group themselves, like, again, they hit very familiar story beats, but it's kind of just something that's pulling me into the story more than, like, kind of the directionless area Boruto has been for a while now.
Sure. I get that totally. I think that at this point, I'm just kind of like, wasn't this supposed to be about ninja tools to begin with?
Oh, it's nonsense. It's gibberish. And look, at this point, you could just kill off fucking Mitsuki or whatever his name is. That kid's done nothing.
You don't need Sai and Sasuke.
Yeah, he's fucking boring as shit at this point. Let's put this kid in as the third character. And we'll just make it entirely a fucking Team 7 reunion. Kakashi's like, I guess I could come back and lead the team again? Why not?
Konohamaru seems pretty useless. I could count my retirement for this shit. Alright, let's move on to Fuwara Shokugeki no Soma, which takes the longest chapter title in a stunning display of subtitling. Soma and Megami's Hot Springs Case Files, File 01, The Darkness Behind the Steam. What the fuck is that title?
I mean, I guess we're going to get more fucking Hot Springs Case Files.
So, we get a bit of a flashback at the start of this chapter to explain why Soma and Megami are in this Hot Springs town as established in the end of the last chapter and going for their duties as part of the new Council of 10. Eren has assigned them on a mission, which he refers to as like a business trip. And she says, like, yeah, you guys are members of the Council of 10, so, you know, and because Soma is trying to say, is like, why do we have to go and do this? Because you're part of the Council of 10. And she explains, like, hey, you know, the Council of 10 got a lot of shit done. They've had a lot to do with the management of the Institute, and including approving budgets. I guess it's not too big of a jump for Erina to be the dean if there were these 10 teenagers doing this stuff to begin with, come to think of it. And I like how she says Tsukasa and Kobayashi served their terms as first and second seat admirably, divvying up their duties between them. That is not how it was explained.
Very deliberately explained that all she did was dump her work on Tsukasa, and he was too much of a milksop to complain.
I sincerely hope that this is just naive little Erina's like understanding of what happened. Like she was on the outskirts of the council, and that was just her interpretation of the events as they were happening because she was a naive little kohai.
She's like, as I was in the thing, all the assignments that were passed on to the two top seats always got done. I assumed they did their jobs admirably, and not just one of them threw her assignments on the other and said, "Good luck with that, brah. I got some things to eat. I'm going to start eating earthworms in the Caribbean desert or some shit." I don't know where the Caribbean desert would be. I'm sure there is one.
The Caribbean desert. Someone and Erinus start to argue, but Megami kind of interrupts them and says, like, so what are we supposed to do? And she's sending them to this hot springs town. And Erinus says, you're going to find a certain traditional inn in business for more than 100 years. It's famous and has deep ties to Totsuki. The previous dean my grandfather would visit it often. However, several days ago, it suddenly closed with no notice or warning. So they have to go and figure this stuff out. And Erinus says, like, actually what concerns me most is, well, when you get there. Now, I knew it was going to happen at the end of this chapter from this point, I should say, because they're going to a hot springs town. And there's one thing that shonen manga loves to do when people go to hot springs and inns. And anyway, we'll get into that. So,
can I guess what it is? I mean, I already read the chapter, but there's like the one trope that happens in this one that I feel like happens every time a mixed gender duo goes to a hot spring.
We've got to share a room,
and the walls separating the hot springs fell down. That's next week.
Well, yeah, we'll say about it. So, they show up at the bathhouse after a few more diversions because last chapter Soma was going and doing the stall games. This time it's just like, look, it's one of those old-fashioned game machines. I need a coin. Megami's like, we've got work to do. Come on. So they're going around, and he keeps on being distracted by more stuff. And she decides, okay, let's ask some of the locals what's going on here. And they manage to go to a nearby inn, and they ask her about it. And it's like she's a frickin' NPC in a video game. Honestly, she's like, oh, yeah, it was so sudden. They were open just like usual the day before, and then I woke up and there was a sign on that door. It was such a shock. But somehow in a single night, the entire family has disappeared. And Megami starts to get worried because she's a scaredy cat like that. And someone's like, this is kind of suspicious. So I think that we should actually go around and ask about a few more things. What the hell is she saying? Oh, okay, yeah. So he's like, we're going to solve this mystery, gang. Let's split. No, they don't split up, but... And we get a montage of them going around to different people, some guests from nearby, some business owners and stuff, collecting the list of suspects. I'm sure that one of these will probably be important at some point later on, but whatever. There's a lot of them. I also like that Soma keeps on being distracted by random things like the game machines and the stall games and stuff. Also, there are little kids who are like, you suck at this! Which I do appreciate. And eventually the original owner that they talked to before says, like, oh, yeah, we actually just received a call from the secretary of Totsuki Institute, and she's put in reservations for you guys to stay here, so why don't you come and rest? And first off, they have dinner prepared for them, and they're like, it's delicious, good stuff. And after they're relaxing, after they've eaten, Megami, takes a look out the window, and there's like, oh, it sure is nice to be at Hot Springs. Yeah, this is great. Anyway, let's relax and let's get back to investigating tomorrow. And Soma gets distracted with the TV because he is a literal 7-year-old. Like, everything is fascinating to him that is unimportant and stupid with the game machines. And, oh, look, a local program that doesn't air in our area. And Megami realizes finally, it's like, hang on a second. I was kind of occupied with the mission and now are all this stuff, but aren't we sharing a room?
Dun,
And then
dun, 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 dun.
And then someone apparently gets stabbed, but that's not nearly as important.
Well, they frame it to be like they got stabbed.
Yeah.
It's very obviously a cooking thing.
It looks... I'm sure that what probably happened was that the person's like, watch as I cut this against the grain. Oh, no, my knife!
Or the dude just lost a cooking competition and passed out from the shock in a very few
What?
wars.
No, they wouldn't solve things with a shokugeki in this series.
They have to kill him. They're like, Soma, this is your pistol. Does it shoot like soy sauce or some kind of delicious additive? They're like, no, it's going to kill someone. You need to... This is a Jack the Ripper level serial killer. He will kill you and your friends and wear your skin if you don't stop. And he's like, I bet I can shokugeki him. They're like, Soma, he will wear your skin. If you see him, shoot him in the face and run.
Look, he's already wearing Megami's face.
Yeah, you
Oh, hey, Tadakaro, how are you doing? Hi, Soma.
Oh, Soma, would you like to get stabbed? We should do it like old time's sake. He's like, oh, remember that old time's sake being stabbed? But now that you say it, I sure do want to join in on it. It's just this dismembered head on a pike laughing that stupid laugh into the sky. I didn't have much thoughts on this chapter. It happened. It's weird because we've been in that Team Shokugeki for so long. I don't know. I've like forgotten how to die.
Can we ever go back, Chris? Will we ever? It's like coming back from war. Like we're just going to have flashbacks to the time that we spent in the Team Shokugeki. Will we ever be able to forget?
I'm just
Will we ever be able to get back to life as normal?
I'm just trying to digest what it was like to actually read a chapter that wasn't just about like, and here's the next Team Shokugeki challenge.
It's going to be interesting having more variety back in the series, I guess. Yeah. All right. Let's move on to Dr. Stone, Chris.
Also known as fuck yourself, Chris, for thinking we were going to do this anytime in the near future, plus also that it would have anything to do with the Stone World stuff. Nope, he made a CD.
Z equals 60. Angel's Song. Devil's Whisper. Last time, of course, they got the glass record left by Byakuya for Senku. And so Senku's like, yeah, we just need to get a needle and to put it through a phone so that, the groove causes it to vibrate, and that way it'll play sound for us. And they're like, wow, it's amazing. So Senku's father managed to make this record thousands of years ago. And Senku says, well, no, it was actually probably beyond Byakuya's capabilities. It was actually probably his companions who were able to do it. I mean, it might have been his idea, but, they were the ones who were actually smart enough to get this to work.
I do like the panel of her like, wow, so he managed to make it, in the next panel after Senku just puts him on is him like...
Well, oh, you mean the Byakuya in the background looking all serene and wise and like...
Oh, come on, man. I got through this shade at old Pops.
So we get a flashback to the creation of the record where Byakuya, cuts off the bottom of a bottle. He's like, we could make a record out of this, right? And they're like, oh, yeah, actually. And since it's glass instead of plastic, it'll actually probably hold up properly. It could last thousands of years. And Lillian says, but you knew that already, right, Byakuya? Like, nope.
He's like, it was round. Like a record would be.
We can make a record out of this basketball, right? So they use like the motor in a shaver in order to make the motor necessary to make it. They use a wedding ring in order to get it so that they can cut the groove out. I
like the moment there where you were like, what's her name? What's her name? What's her name? Fuck it. Her ring.
Yeah, her ring. I want to believe like, oh, you gave away the wedding ring. That means we're no longer married. Might as well kill you.
She's like, it was probably my wedding ring from a previous marriage. I doubt you gave me the wedding ring. It's like, oh, we're not married then? Fuck this. You're worthless to me. She starts, like, puts on the Mr. Sarko, shoves his hand down her throat, tries to choke her out that way. Everyone's like, why would you go for the most loud and like strategized way of murdering someone? Death by hand in our mouth. Quiet! There's a genius to my madness. Oh, you're right. This is stupid. I'll just do it to myself.
I'll bet that I can escape someone else's submission hole doing this. Oh, I just do. Anyway, so they're able to, get a record player made out of Senku's phone. And, sure enough, Byakuya's voice starts to play through it. And everyone's like, oh, wow, it's amazing. And Senku's like, shut up, I can't hear it. And he says, Senku, I just know that someone has got to be able to have broken out of the stone and have found this record. And I know it's you. So I'm talking to you from across hundreds of thousands of years and possibly longer. Consider this our final conversation on that. And not that I can actually, hear you responding. And please don't forget that always, we never really had that kind of bond, so don't worry about it. I think this is actually really kind of, it's sad and funny at the same time that, like, Senku's own father didn't, like, have that kind of relationship. It's one of those kind of, like, masculinity sort of things where it's like you don't allow yourself to, like, express certain emotions that you do have just because that's not how you're used to each other. And I know if you're actually comfortable with that deep down, that's fine. But we've seen that Senku could get worked up about his father in the past, so it seems like it's a little bit beyond that, and it's just, like, framed this way as a joke. So it's kind of weird. It's
interesting because Senku, in a lot of ways, reminds me a lot of Haruma from High Shield 21. And that was a similar thing, too, where Haruma oftentimes, like, they went out of their way to kind of avoid him having emotional moments, but they did have them in there. And it sort of feels that way because we know that he does have an emotional feeling towards his father, as that scene with him alone at the grave and everything like that. But it is sort of an interesting thing to kind of keep that in there of like, no, this guy can't get too sentimental. He needs to be a lot more jovial and mad genius like, and a mad genius doesn't stop working to cry or whatever.
Mm. I guess I at least appreciate that there's that moment where he's first hearing it, where he, just kind of has that kind of calm, sedate smile on his face.
Yeah.
So Byakuya says, all right, Senku, in case you're struggling and you still haven't won over the hearts and minds of the villagers, have them listen to this. And Lillian sings into the microphone and I was like, it's so pretty. It's the voice of an angel.
I want to also note, I believe Weird Old Guy is also on some kind of guitar in the silhouette in the background. And I'm on to be, well, I'm paying Stairway to Heaven. Why am I even here? Smashes the guitar. They're like, we don't have many takes of this, dude. Just play the song.
We get one chance to record this. It's really...
He's like, well, my guitar's broken, so I'm just going to do the song.
That's it. I'm going to do the whole thing myself. And she's climbing a stairway to heaven.
I'll just have to do it with my mouth.
That's Scatman John. That's not Stairway to Heaven.
I don't actually know what songs are. I can't read. I stuck aboard a spaceship.
Also, I'm tone deaf.
Who are you people?
I would have thought it was hilarious because literally thousands of years have passed beyond this point. You've got to think that musical tastes have changed over this time. They're just like, wow, that's really boring and shit.
They're like, change the channel.
She was called the greatest voice of your generation. Really? Ugh. Poor people. And but no, everyone's super emotional about it, including Ginro, who's the one actually in charge of spinning the record. He's like, so back in your day, you guys had lots of awesome music like this? And Senku says, yeah, not just music. We had video games and TV shows and manga and movies. All of it All that entertainment was possible because of scientific advances. The world was full of amazing creations like that. The media itself might be gone, but the essence is still there, locked away in humanity's memories. And I'm going to show it all to you people. Come on, guys. Let's jump up thousands of years of scientific progress so that we can have Dragon Ball and Sherlock Holmes again.
I love that it's very Japan of this, that Dragon Ball Z is on the same level as 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and 2001: A Space Odyssey. That it's like, none of this would happen without for science. They're all perfectly important. It's like, I don't know, maybe... like the other ones are almost like tertiary there. It's just like, but we need Dragon Ball.
Which version of Sherlock Holmes do you think that is?
The one from like the PC games from like the 2010s. the one that were mildly beloved.
All right. So everyone is super excited about all this now. Like, they were on Senku's side before, but now they kind of like have like a more of a motivation. Like, we understand like a big dream at the end of everything now. So Gen actually says like, hey, maybe this has actually done something for you too, Senku. The fact that you've kind of like drawn them into this war. So, maybe you feel a little bit less guilty about that now that they're fully on your side like this. But Senku's like, nah, I had never had any doubt to begin with. Suika says, like, what we should do is have Tsukasa's army listen to this record. And Kaseki is right there with her. It's like, yeah, maybe the song will tug at their heartstrings, make them throw down their weapons. And Gen says, like, well, most of the people that are on Tsukasa's side have actually heard of Lillian before. They wouldn't be too moved. She's too famous. And anyway, this sound quality. And he gets a big aha moment, but he doesn't bring it up at this time. He waits until night and approaches Senku. He actually, like, while Senku is looking through the telescope, just sticks his head in front of it, which is the best way of getting someone to talk to you, of course. He says, I didn't want everyone else in the village to hear this, especially people like Ginro and stuff, and people like that. So he's like, all right, so you got something, some dirty scheme planned. And he says, like, yeah, what we need is the record player and a pair of cell phones. And if this works, then Tsukasa's empire will be ours without any bloodshed. We can save all 7 billion people. But in exchange, if there really is a god watching us, Senku Ishigami and Gen Asagiri will be condemning themselves to an eternity in hell. And Senku's like, don't sweat it. God's been absent from the world of silence for a good 10 billion years. I don't believe in God. That's on the nose as fuck. But, yeah, so there's something at work here now that I actually seriously hope that whatever scheme Gen has planned is actually as underhanded as he's making it out to be, and not something that's actually rather innocent for him to get this big, shadowy-eyed, grimacing moment. It's very, very, very foreboding what their conversation is.
It's very foreboding. I feel as though we're not going to get that moment where you're like, they're like, we'll use sound to make them all poop their pants and they won't be able to fight or something. Like, it's probably going to be something like a little bit unfair, but still not like evil. Like, I think based on the tone of this series, it's still going to be something that once everybody hears it, they're going to be like, oh, okay, or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. I like it though. I love that art of fucking Gen. You mentioned it before, how his mark basically looks like a Cheshire cat grin or something like that is really cool in those kinds of moments.
Yeah, fun little chapter, honestly. It moved at a nice pace, even if I was kind of just like, I don't know if I would have liked Leon singing.
She looks like she's putting a lot into it. Like, it's really just like,
well, it's her last performance. So,
well, it almost looks like she's just screaming into it, like, ah! something like that.
It just overloads the sound quality. It's just like, wow, there's a lot of feedback on that.
He's just like, yeah, I don't know why I thought a coconut on a stick would pick up sound quality very well, but here I am. All right, let's talk about We Never Learn, Chapter 65. X descends like wildfire at the festival's beginning. We don't get any conclusion in this one, Nick. In fact, there's very little conclusion to it, but we're in for a full-fledged arc, I guess.
Or at least the 3-chapter trilogy.
Yes. So the chapter opens up with Yuiga trying to help sell thing at the udon booth when he gets stopped by Uruka's friends. I don't remember their names. They're dressed like magical girls. And we find out that they were going to be dressed as magical girls from that same series that Uruka accidentally had to kind of cosplay as when she dressed like a mermaid that one time. I completely forgot this happened, but thankfully they kind of bring it up with a lot of details to the point where you're like, oh, okay, that's what this is all about. So they were going to do like a trio cosplay thing there, but the rental team sent the wrong outfit, and they don't know where the third magical outfit went. She's like, it'd be weird to, do it with just 2 of the colors. Like, it doesn't make sense. So Yuiga's like,
you can't have 2 of the 3 Hop Relay sisters, Chris.
Exactly. That'd be like, you're like, hey guys, we're gonna do the Power Rangers team, but we got blue and red, and that's it. Like, what? You need other colors, or else it's stupid. You're weird. Why are you doing this? You can't have the blue and red Bad Beetleborgs, not have the green Bad Beetleborg. That'd be ridiculous. So Yuiga,
yeah, that would make it ridiculous.
So Yuiga goes back out, but this time, in addition to selling udon, he also has another flag that's like searching for the full pure costume. So he's just like, delicious udon, looking for the full pure outfit, delicious udon. Like, he's bouncing between them, and everyone's just like, sure. But then a young child walks by.
The same kid and mom.
They're always there.
They're everywhere, Chris.
They're everywhere. A young child walks by and says, oh yeah, I saw her up on the roof and she looked at me. So Yuiga's like, I mean, this seems like a long shot, but he goes up, and of course, it's Kirisu, dressed up as a magical girl, because you gotta get that finish in there. And it turns out, that's the outfit that got sent to her. I guess whatever the actual outfit was supposed to be that she was supposed to wear got mixed up, and it's for the same rental company.
It was just like a string bikini that had like something like treat me with no dignity whatsoever scrawled across it.
Yeah, well, in my mind, I'm just like, was this meant to be then that her teachers were going to get her something dignified to actually wear instead, and it wasn't just going to be, oh, here's a Roman toga that goes down to your crotch and then disappears or some shit like that. So she puts it on because she kind of, I guess, just wanted to. It's not, she basically had to run.
She didn't realize what it was until it was fully on her body, and only then was she able to see again.
Yeah. That's a great, that'd be a great explanation for why she does these things. Like, she didn't just pull the outfit out and she was like, nope. She had to put it all on before she's like, wait, this is embarrassing and revealing.
Maybe it will be less embarrassing when it's on my body.
Yeah, maybe when I put it on, it is in a mini skirt and thigh-high stockings. Maybe that's when it becomes a full-length gown afterwards. She has no concept for how tall she is. She's like, yeah, no, this will go down to my ankles. I'm 3'3", right? So Yuiga has the line where he's like, please get undressed, hurry. And there's like a 2-panel thing of her just being like, boy, you what? And he's like, I'm sorry, I should have put that differently.
I do like that moment.
Yeah. So we get a couple panels of her trying to undress, but she can't because her zipper is stuck. And Yuiga's like, I can't pull it off because, like, if I do, I'll tear the whole costume. And Kirisu actually feels really bad because, this screws things up for the swim team. This is supposed to be an important experience for them, and she's messed it up by kind of ruining their theme. And there's a bit of a moment there where Yuiga's like, do you remember school festivals? She's like, no, because figure skating was more important. And it's like, it's touching. We're kind of hanging on the same story beats every time for her at this point. So it's a little hard to get like as emotionally invested. But thankfully, it's not meant to be the main beat of this chapter. It's just kind of a small moment. But she says, more importantly, we need to get this costume back to the swim team. And Yuiga says, I have an idea that might work. Oh? And then we cut away to Furuhashi, who is stomping around because...
Like a robot, I should add.
Yeah, very like... Uruka, who I guess has time to not sell udon to talk to her. Ogata has a moment not selling udon to talk to her. It's just like, what's wrong? And she's like, the fucking script! Stupid script! Dumbass fucking stupid script ass bullshit!
They told me there would be a kiss scene, but there is!
Like every other version of Sleeping Beauty that's ever been out there. So she's freaking out. And that's kind of the full chapter then. Like we cut ahead then to the swim team's live performance. Yuiga's like, I hope everything's gonna go well. Ogata shows up and is like, here's some udon. And then the crowd is about to see what's gonna happen. That's it.
Yeah, and Ogata's like, what?
Yeah, so we shall see what happens here.
I'm guessing that maybe Yuiga was just like, you should go and be part of the swim team's performance instead, or something like that.
I wouldn't be shocked if that happens, and maybe, like, because they did get a costume. Maybe they'll still have fucking Uruka go out in whatever costume she got, or I don't know. I'm sure we're going to get a lot more Kirisu fan service next chapter.
I'm sure.
If for some reason they were like, we managed to figure out how to get it off of you, but you have to be naked the entire time while it happens, or some shit like that. I don't know. We'll see. Or, yeah, the Gilly Elfson maybe has it where they'll have her mask the entire time. So she'd be wearing like a little fucking Sailor Moon domino mask or whatever.
Sailor Venus wore the domino mask, Chris.
I think Sailor Moon's worn it before, too. Sailor Moon mask. That's tuxedo mask.
I was going to say, that's what you're going to get if you...
Hold on. Yeah, she has pictures of her wearing one.
Okay.
I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy! Alright, now Sailor Moon mask and Metallica.
What?
Alright, now, I'm sorry. Wait. Why is the bunny from Zootopia in this image? How did Metallica get me to here so quickly? I'm intrigued.
Sorry. It's very much just kind of a transitional chapter, just continuing on from certain things. I guess that it does make sense to kind of very cleanly have the embarrassing outfit and swim team shows converge like this to prevent things from going on for too long, which is not We Never Learned style. But not really a whole lot happened. The main highlight is really just the moment where Yugi is just like, take those clothes off! Wait, hang on.
I do like her face, like the boy you what face?
But that's basically all I have to say. All right, let's move on then to the Promised Neverland. Chapter 89, Convening. Last time, the old man showed up, shot off Luvis's mask, and that is where we pick up in this chapter. Although it has a really awesome color front page with Emma going like as if she's in a modern shooter game or something like that.
I like her little jacket. I don't know why. I like the jacket.
Yeah. So, Luvis's mask is broken off. Luvis is like, all right, well, I'll still have to fight them. And he's like, oh, they're actually doing a lot better. There's more than I expected, and they're moving in right away to shoot beneath my mask. Excellent. And then he sees Pepe's got a grenade. He's pulling the pin out, and he's like, all right. Well, whether it's a gun, whether it's grenades, I'll repel them all. And Pepe throws the grenade, and the grenade splits open, and there's a flash bomb inside of it instead. Wait, a flash bomb?
I think I've heard of one of those things before. All right, like.
Now, I guess the idea is that he was just focusing on deflecting the grenade, so he was keeping his eyes on it. So that was why the flash bomb was more effective. But I'm pretty sure you could have just as easily taken him by surprise by just throwing a flash bomb. Anyway, so we get a flashback to explain. It's like, yeah, this is our plan. Blind him, because blinding someone makes it easier to fight them. Thanks, Lucas. Nice insight. Glad we spent a whole page on that. Anyway, it is also very disorienting for Luvis because he's stunned from it. In addition to that, of course, he was just freaking electrified a minute ago. And they're like, all right, let's do this. Let's kill him. And he seems to fall to the ground. They're like, oh my gosh, he's so disoriented. We can finish him off right here. But actually, he was just stooping down to grab a bunch of fragments from the ground. Fragments of glass, I think? I'm not really sure where the shrapnel came from. Anyway, and he uses it as fucking echolocation because the shards don't hit anyone except for Pepe. And when Pepe's like, ow, my fucking shoulder, Louis is like, ah! And goes and gouges his shoulder some more. Oh no, Pepe!
Nick! Pepe!
No! The one I care the least about out of these 5 characters.
I think I know his name, which is more than could be said about...
What?
No, it's not Norman. That's the actual character that is important. Reginald?
Are you talking about the World War I flying ace?
Yeah.
Nigel.
I knew it was a stupid name.
So Ray Cookie is like, oh, that's what he was doing. Pepe was the only one, or rather, only that guy who yelped when the mask fragment hit him. Say, if I had been hit by it, I would have just been totally stoic and silent and not reacted at all. #Ray.
Masks never hit me because my face is too beautiful.
So the man tries to shoot at Luvis some more, but apparently the sound of him shooting the gun lets Luvis react and lift up his hand in order to stop it. So, okay. Because you clearly see Luvis reacting after the bullet's been fired. This dude moves fast.
I mean, we kind of got that image, though, like the other week when he stopped like a handful of like all these guns going off at once.
Well, it's not even just that he's faster than can be perceived. His reaction time is also faster than the speed of bullets. So, Luvis is getting really excited about this now. And he decides to just knock a building down. He just plants both hands into the building that Ray and the guy were perched on, and they have to rush to a different one. And he just starts to fucking collapse houses in the alleyway that he's in. His little pet dude thing returns his hat, and he says like, I still can't see, and I feel dizzy. It's like when you're young and foolish and wake up in the morning with a terrible hangover from drinking too much the night before. But even this feeling is quite enjoyable.
I like that his little monkey brought him his hat back.
Yeah. Pepe's not waking up. Oh, no. And they're like, what are we going to do? We broke his mask. The flash bomb worked, but we still couldn't kill him. What should we do? And even the old man sees to be at a loss. And that's where we end the chapter. Nice little action chapter.
It's a cool chapter. Like, Luvis being kind of Bamf is always kind of nice to see. Like, again, we're at that point now where most of the characters evolved are ones we actually give a fuck about. Although, obviously, the big dramatic twist was again to a character I was like, I don't care about fucking Pepe. Leave him there. I don't care.
We could use him as bait.
Yeah, fucking throw his corpse behind to distract the zombie horde. I don't care.
He still can't see very well, so let's use Pepe to create noise and just throw him at a wall.
They cover him in bells and hurl him into the air.
I saw this in Bleach once. Here, let's put bells in his long hair and give him an eye patch.
Go, Tactic Kenpachi. Just hurl him up there to get him torn to shreds. I like the chapter. I like Luvis being kind of cool.
It's not going to plan. Kenpachi got his ass torn up in every fight he was in.
I remember Bleach exactly. Yeah, but it was pretty sweet.
Yeah. All right.
All right, let's
Thinking that. Seven Deadly Sins!
Yeah, let's talk Seven Deadly Sins really quickly because this is not a very significant chapter for some reason. Seven Deadly Sins, chapter 270, A Meeting with the Unknown. So, we know that their plan with Melodius and Bond is to find where the Demon Lord is and kind of figure out where the escape out of this purgatory is. So, they start off by kind of dodging attacks from these giant cricket monsters by, comparing their notes of what they're going to do when they get out of here. And then there's a little bit of some action fight scenes between them. Remember that it's specifically kind of like Bond is doing the majority of the work here because Melodius can't really fight right now. He's just a fragment of himself. So they have some, crazy battles, and Bond talks about like, oh man, it's pretty crazy. They're eating one of the monsters, and they do talk about how they're like, we don't need to, but it's good. It feels good to eat things.
Makes them feel more alive, for one thing.
Yeah. But Bond's like...
It's also been 500 years that they've been wandering around together, so...
Yeah. But Bond notes, he's like, yeah, it's pretty easy for me to do things. Like, the air isn't hard to breathe. I don't get burned or frostburn anymore. And, Melodius compliments him. Was like, you're probably the first and only person to ever survive for 100 years in purgatory with their mind still intact. And Bond's like, yeah, it's because I'm immortal. It's like, yeah, but it's probably more than that. You're going to be crazy strong when you turn back to the land of the living. And,
yeah, it's gotta be like training at 500 times Earth's gravity, Chris.
Yeah, in a hyperbolic time chamber. And then Bond returns back with like, yeah, but you left me these battle scars, so even though this is only a fragment of your strength, you're going to be crazy strong too. And then they have a little bit more of an exchange about like all these things we're going to do when we get back. But then suddenly a new challenger approaches them. Someone so quick that even all these crazy fast movements of Melodius are not enough. And Bond thinks he catches him, but instead his fingers are turned into just what looks like pure sinew and muscle fibers. Like it just rips them to shreds. And then there's a bladed point at Melodius's back as someone says, that's far enough. And I'm going to ask you some questions, you freaks. You just mentioned getting back to the other side, and that's something I just can't ignore. And they're like, the person says, I want to help you guys, though, because if you want me to show you where he is, I don't mind. And they're like, well, who are you? And they turn, and it's a pig. It's Hawk, but a boar with actual tusks called Wild, who says, my name is Wild, a wandering knight in search of his missing lost brother. A little brother. And they're like, Hawk? And the chapter literally ends with them being like, huh? No, I said my name was Wild.
That is hilarious, by the way. What? No, my name's Wild.
I just said it was Wild.
The obvious conclusion to draw from this is that this is Hawk's older brother. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. It could just but it's definitely at least an indication that probably this is part of where Hawk comes from, is that he comes from purgatory, and that's why he's such a strange creature with that weird unlocked potential in him. But I get the idea that it probably is, that they probably are brothers, especially because, Chris, if you put their names together, what do you get?
Wild Hawk?
No, you get Hawk Wild. Like Hog Wild. Because they're pigs.
I guess that works. Fuck it.
Also, there's a bonus story.
There's a bonus story. I didn't even bother reading it because I don't care.
It's about family bonding. Okay.
I'm sure it's very sweet. But I basically got to the end of the chapter. I was like, okay, I can kind of stop from there. And then I read like the next 3 pages, and I was like, this doesn't look important.
I wasn't expecting this to happen at the very least, I can say. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Nick's preparing something.
Okay, let's talk about Black Clover.
Was that you, like, mentally, like, you were, like, you turned to do your mantra, just, like, I know it's bad, but just do it for her, something like that? Like, you have your Maggie Simpson.
I've got pictures of Maggie Simpson on the wall.
You're like, doing it for you, baby girl.
page 159, Release from Misfortune. Last time, there was some random elf zombie dude who was attacking Asta and Yuno's village, so they went down in order to save everyone.
But Nick, you're forgetting about the priest that there was too also being attacked. The very memorable priest.
So,
Father always been there.
Chris, just let me get through this. He launches a wave of attacks at them, and they deflect it. And freaking, what was this fucking Nash? That was his name, Nash. Is like, they're awesome! And they're like, Father Priest, who was here the whole time and was fatally wounded, don't die! And Asta's like, oh, if he's been infected with a poison, maybe I can heal him with the Demon Slayer sword. You handle this guy for a minute. And Yuno's like, I will beat him on my own. Anyway, so they're like, oh no, he was shielding us with his body. And so Asta taps him on the brow with the cross guard of his sword, and it doesn't have any effect. And Asta's like, oh no, it must be because he's not under a spell now, because it's already finished acting on him then. Maybe that's what's happening. And the guy's like, am I going to die? I see Asta. I must be hallucinating. And I was like, no, I'm actually here. He's like, you're as noisy as ever. Even if you're an illusion, I'm glad to see you well and happy at the end. Now, I'm glad that Asta hadn't forgotten all the times that he had with the priest, because I had. That's on me. Now, it's been a long time since this guy showed up, but I remember these scenes now that I see them again. So it's like, okay. But Asta's like, no, you can't die, Father. Keep watching me. No, all of us, on into the future. And his grimoire opens up and it's like, Deus Ex Machina. And he's like, wait a minute. This sword, it's the one that was stuck in that dungeon. The one that he pulled out. The one that Leash was using went into his grimoire. So he's like, it got into my grimoire somewhere along the way. And now, all on its own, and he grabs it and immediately sucks all the poison out of everyone that's around them. He's like, all right, this sword feels like a really wild one. And I just got it for no reason.
His father figure was dying. Or whatever the priest meant to him.
So he's like, maybe with this power, I could. And so immediately, Elf Zombie is like, did he take away the effects of the poisoning? And starts to beat up the guy while he's distracted. And he's like, wait a minute, you're a target of the reincarnation spell like us. So why are you still human? And wait a minute, isn't that sort of leech magic? Why does a mannerless human have it? What are you people? It starts to attack them and goes, humans, tries to kill them all. But is like, I can tell by the feel of the man that his soul is in pain after what's her name? Fucking Sylph, whatever her name was. She's like, his soul is rampaging. And Yuna says, if this keeps up, he'll turn into something besides an elf. We have to set him free. And Asta's like, it's as if the elves look like they're asking for help. And he pierces the guy in the chest with his new sword. And the possession magic immediately dissipates. He falls to the ground. And Yuno's like, he negated the reincarnation spell. And Asta's like, with this sword, we can save everybody. And everyone hugs. We cut away after that point because Possessed Luck shows up where fucking Magna and Vanessa are. And he's like, I'm going to go out and play for a bit. And that's where the chapter ends. This is garbage. This is fucking stupid.
Go for it, Nick. Let it out.
I'm done with this. Like, I think that in order to continue reading the series, I just have to accept it's just going to usually be bad. This same mentality that I had in order to keep reading Fairy Tail, which I told you from the beginning, when we started recapping it after I caught up, it's like, okay, it's just stupid. That's it. Whatever. I don't care. And I hate having to take that attitude for a manga because it kind of denies myself the ability to fully invest in it and enjoy it. Like, if I'm just constantly expecting it to do dumb things and expecting it to do something stupid and fuck itself up, then I can't get invested in it and fully enjoy it. And I hate getting into that mindset because of that. There were times when I really liked Black Clover. A few short months ago when we had that Magic Knight exam, it was like, all right, yes, this might be the turning point. This might be where I become a Black Clover fan. And all this has happened. And it's not just that we had this whole thing with Yuno's possessed, but he can shake it off. Now we've got this thing that has to do nothing to earn after establishing very firmly we can't just get rid of the reincarnation magic. Well, now you can, for no fucking reason. It's been like 3 chapters since that point. What even was the point of having Yuno be possessed and being able to shake it off if now Asuka could just be like, duh, now you're cured from it? Like, it's such, I cannot wrap my head around this decision. It takes all of the tension out of this entire idea. Okay.
So, if I may, I would like to maybe make one correction to what you said.
What is that? What am
I will say it's not that Black Clover is that bad, because I'll reiterate a point I've made. I think what you have to accept is it's just not the series for you. And because I know there are plenty of people who don't mind this twist. They're like, yeah, it's cool, makes sense. And it just is what Black Clover is, where it's a series that doesn't, like, it's not going to leave you, like, lingering on things. And it doesn't necessarily force itself to earn every moment. It kind of always makes sure the heroes win, and you don't have to wait very long for it to happen. This chapter doesn't bother me in the same way, because I'm like, I didn't have any sort of anticipation or belief that this whole zombification thing or elf reincarnation thing was going to go on very long. I'm honestly happier that at least it's a sword that's going to do it, as opposed to Ass just being like, but look, we're friends, and he's just like, oh my god, we have been all along. Like, it helps a little bit more. I think my biggest problem is still just that, like, Asta's swords are just so kind of nebulously defined to me that it's hard to really grasp. I'm like, this one's different from the others. They're like, yes, this one sucks in magic and negates it, as opposed to cutting it to negate it. And then whatever the other one does that I've kind of forgotten.
The new one
reflects it, I think, as opposed to...
The new one seems to erase the effects left behind by magic.
I think maybe it would make sense if the manga kind of, like, named his swords and gave them more distinct personalities. It's very hard to,
as opposed to like the demon dwelling sword and the demon, yeah.
I mean, they might have names, I just don't
know.
They
have titles.
Okay, I feel like I never see them. Like, they don't do what most shonen do, where they put like a box that's like the demon dwelling sword or something like that, for me to be like, oh, okay, that's the name or whatever.
And Asta doesn't really refer to his swords by any sort of title very often. I guess that's just because that's the type of person that he is. Because...
You know what? The only part that did sort of rub me the wrong way, though, is the priest being here and trying to give an emotional moment to them. This is the kind of stuff I called out pretty frequently with Fairy Tail, and this felt like a Fairy Tail type move to be like, no!
Oh, I'm dying! No, I'm not!
Well, let's just be like, Asta, I'm going to die now. And I'm like...
Are you sure?
Is this a character? Have you been in this before? People are saying he has. I don't remember, because whenever he brings up his past, the only person he ever brings up is the sister, because he has a crush on her. He doesn't bring up Nash.
It was in the opening chapters.
Yeah, and I mean, that's like 3 years ago of a series that, had him in one chapter and never again, but when it does allude to it, he's not the part that's alluded to. So it's sort of hard to be like, I guess this guy was around. Like, this isn't his Aruka for me to be like, oh no, like, I hope he survives. And maybe that was kind of the emotion they were trying to build towards. It's just sort of like a weird one. But I get it. Again, I recognize I don't follow everything in the series, so I don't necessarily know everything that's happening in it.
All right. Let's move on to One Piece then. All right, yeah. One Piece, chapter 906, Sacred Mary Joa. All right, so, we are in the midst of the whole gathering of governments and lords and kings and stuff for them to have the whole conference or whatever. A lot of this chapter is just like, look at how awesome this place is. As Mary Jo is this very, very large church. I don't know what that's, whatever. It's a large castle mansion thing. And, yeah, they're going around looking at stuff. They're slaves underground. Yay. There's a guy who specifically asks for help, or if not for help, then to be killed. Yay. There are a lot of callbacks in this chapter. Reappearances by characters who have not shown up in years. And there were some of them that even with the reminder, I was just like, okay, but who are you? We get some that are, the obvious choices to reappear. There's a lot of people, they're freaking out over Shirahoshi, and she ends up stumbling across Rebecca and Vivi, who have met up, and Vivi is like, "Oh, you're so cute," when she's met Leo, and they're getting along really well. This really should not have happened, Chris. It's so hard to tell them apart when they're standing next to each other.
It's the really big problem is like, it just reminded me, I was like, wow, Vivi looked so different from every other character. And you see Rebecca and Shirahoshi together and you're like, fuck, it's like it's really like there's two more Namis in this place.
It's like one of them is standing in front of a prism and you're just seeing blue and red and orange versions of her.
It was just like, oh, wow, the Luffy fan club met together, with Vivi and Blue Nami and Pink Nami. Mermaid Nami showed up.
So we get a recap of what happened in Alabasta, which was for me the least necessary of all of these recaps. But I understand it has been something like 15 years since that happened, maybe more. And then Shirahoshi just overhears them talking about how awesome Luffy is. And like, oh, you've met Sir Luffy too? Oh, yeah, I know I'm in his stead. And they're like, ditto! That's our character at this point. We owe Luffy a lot. We catch up with Sai, who is in some ridiculous outfit because he's here as, like a regal thing. But he catches up a bit with Leo and Rebecca, and it's like, you guys were barely apart. What do you need the reunion for? Then fucking Wapol shows up with his wife Kinderella. They're like, all right, he had that whole side series cover page thing where he became the king of like a toy kingdom or something like that.
I forgot that he became evil again, though. I remember the end of it.
Super evil.
But then I forgot that it became like an evil toy kingdom.
Yeah, he was happy, and then he was just like, and now I'm back on top!
It's like, I do love the notion of, like, because oftentimes we see when Luffy defeats a character, a villain, he beats, like Oda's put it, like, Luffy doesn't kill his villains because instead he's destroyed their dreams. And that's often harder. Like the last time I think we saw Captain Kuro was him like quietly reflecting as he sailed on the ocean. And you're just like, oh, like maybe he changes his ways or something like that. He's certainly just not going to be the exact same character as before. And, like fucking Ineru is off on the fucking moon. We've seen like quasi heel turns out of certain other villains like Crocodile and maybe a more sympathetic turn for Gecko Moria. I love that Wapol showed up and he's the exact same fucking dickhead. He's the exact same motherfucker, just with an assistant now and a mustache.
He's changed less than Alvida and Buggy.
He had a whole thing that he just stands there and he's just like, I'm back. All I changed, I added the word black to my fucking kingdom's name. That's it.
Also, Kinderella's laugh is dig, dig, dig.
Yes, because she's a gold digger, which I love.
Then this was the part that really threw me. So Dr. Correa's there. It's like, oh, nice to see you. She is with the new king of the Sakura Kingdom, Dalton. And I'm like, who?
He had the bison fruit, Nick.
And I'm like, who?
The bison fruit.
He turns into a bison, and I'm like, he does? It made me remember, I was like, wow, I remember like nothing about Chopper's arc except the fact that he used to hide around corners more often, his flashback, and the fact that Wapol was there. I don't even remember how Luffy actually beat Wapol.
He used a big gum bazooka. It stretched across the whole landscape, and he slammed him after he did like...
I'll take your word for it.
I remember all these characters. That's what make it very clear.
Don't remember it. You have to understand that we experienced One Piece very differently. I had to read much more of One Piece in one go than you did. So we just kind of get a little bit with these characters and also refreshers with them. And then we cut to Impel Down, where the fucking Doflamingo is still being held captive. And he's like, have they come for me, an assassin from above, to make sure I don't go spilling the secrets of Meridoa's hidden treasure? A hired killer to silence me for good? Just let the secret out. Power has such a short shelf life. It goes bad very quickly. And then we cut away to elsewhere in Mary Joa, where a figure in a long cape with a big old headdress is stalking the corridors. He has wanted posters, including one for Luffy. And he goes into some vault, walks in, goes down another hallway, and he sees, sitting on its own, a very large straw hat. And that's where the chapter ends.
This was like some real Lost level shit. I loved it. Where I'm like, I don't know what this means! What does this mean?
It is interesting, isn't it? Even if like you knew the full context of what was going on here, you'd still be like, that's a weird way to end a chapter. And here is a large straw hat.
Well, it's weird because some people have been like, maybe it's not straw, like maybe it's not a large straw hat that's a regular size and he's really tiny. I think Jeff has the theory that that's Vegapunk, or maybe it's not Jeff. I might be misinterpreting it. Like, but I've heard theories that that's Vegapunk and he's like a small person, and I don't know. I don't know what to think of this because I had no idea what it means. I keep trying to figure out if it's supposed to be connected to the Doflamingo stuff because that feels really out of place otherwise.
The secret, yeah. Well, I mean, he was part of the Celestials, so
it is true.
He would know certain secrets that only they know of.
So what could possibly be so important about that straw hat?
I mean, I guess that there was something that Jeff was pointing out, which is like everyone's freaking out about this, but we've very clearly established the existence of giants in this world, so maybe it's just a hat that belonged to one of them that was, an important figure. But
why a straw hat?
Well, we've seen other people wear straw hats, Chris.
But it's a very important symbol of the series.
That's true. I'm just saying, it's like, but it is a weird note to just kind of end on. Is just like, this is an important moment. Him looking at this large in proportion to him straw hat, while also looking at a picture of Straw Hat Luffy.
Now, question, and this is probably me being dumb when it comes to One Piece. Have we ever gotten a confirmation that Gold Roger's straw hat was the one Shanks had and then subsequently was given to Luffy?
Not that I know of.
Because I'm wondering if it's not Gold Roger's hat, then maybe that's Gold Roger's hat. It was. People are saying it was confirmed in some way. I don't remember if it ever was. I just know we've seen Gold Roger with a hat that was the exact same, and the assumption kind of was always put on it. That was like, oh, Shanks got the hat, and then that was given to Luffy. That's the closest thing I could think of, because I'm trying to think if there's ever been... I don't think Jaguar wore a hat. I don't believe he did. But he had a D, so he's supposed to be really important to the whole legacy of this world.
I don't know, man.
I don't know. It's confusing, but I kind of like it. This is very Lost-esque, where I'm like, I don't know what this means, but it's exciting.
What the fuck? You could but I looked up One Piece straw hat, and one of the things that it shows is One Piece Luffy straw hat cosplay. $699
For a vest, shorts, and a hat?
just for the hat.
The fuck? Is it made out of gold?
I made it myself. Be careful the size of the hat. Please message me before placing the order. The only one in the world. Okay, it's a handmade straw hat. Cool. Jesus Christ.
Fair enough.
It's a very authentic looking hat. I'll give him that. It's $700 for a fucking hat. Jesus Christ.
I will note, I like this chapter just in like the little glimpses we got of everything. Like we could hit on the Rebecca, Shirahoshi, everything joke thing there. But I legitimately did love seeing like Wapple and Dalton. Like this is kind of what this arc is kind of meant to be, is like this weird collection of all these characters from One Piece past and these new ones that are going to be coming together. Like it's living up to that.
Yeah. Strange treasure likely involves the celestial dragons and Goldie Roger. After all, Roger is the one who gave Shanks the straw hat that Luffy wears nowadays. Fans find it strange that the hat would be passed down, so one theory states Roger may not have been able to use the One Piece on Raftel because he could not. This might be because this massive hat was needed to pull the trigger, and Roger tried to inform others about his existence with his own hat.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If they explained it in One Piece, I'm such a like flagrant fanboy. I'd be like, of course. But as they explain it right now, I'm just like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
I don't know. We'll find out in the future. It's an interesting way to end a chapter. That's all I'll say.
Yep.
Let's finish things up then. Let's name our favorites for this week.
One Piece.
Black Clover.
One Piece. Favorite chapter. Super fun.
I completely forgot. We completely skipped over Kimi wo Shinryakuseo. A new girl showed up, and she has a crush on what's-his-face. Chris, I saw you answered someone's question about, will the series turn into a harem comedy? And you were like, I wouldn't be surprised. Well, chapter 3, it did. There you go.
Yeah, I have a curious cat.me account or whatever, and someone asked it. I was like, yeah, I'm almost positive it probably will at some point.
And there you go.
Didn't take long.
I don't know, man. I'm gonna go with the Promised Neverland. I really liked the fight scene that we got from there.
I totally get it. I will give my chapter or character of the week to Hawks. I like that we're getting more out of him. He's becoming a more interesting character. And what's it?
Oh yeah. No, never mind.
Sorry, Hawks from My Hero Academia.
Hawks, yes, that is my choice as well. He was basically the one character this week who really stood out. So, all right, that's going to do it for Weekly Manga Recap. We want to thank everyone for joining us for the live recording. You can check us out here on smashcast.tv/RoloT and twitch.tv/RoloT. Normally we do the show Thursdays, somewhere around 7:30 Eastern Standard Time in the evening. If you want more Weekly Manga Recap, you can check us out on, podcast. Fucking hell. weeklymagarecap.podbean.com. Also
7 years, not enough to remember.
No. Also on iTunes, also on YouTube. And, hey, if you check us out on there, be sure to leave a comment, leave a rating, subscribe to us so it can help us out with the algorithm. Rise up in the rankings, dethrone the woodworkers, and take control of the hobby section on iTunes. If you would like to send us feedback, if you'd like to ask us a question for a Q&A episode, if you'd like to suggest a future manga recommendation for us to check out, you can send all those things to weeklymangarecap@yahoo.com. Send us an email and we will check them out. Special thanks go out to our Patreon supporters. Your support allows us to create all sorts of fun bonus content for you guys to enjoy. Last week we put up a twofer with the we did a Weekly Manga Recap Lives, and we also did a showdown, the Saddest Death Showdown, which you can still vote on. Give Chris some hope. Also, thanks to Steve Mann, our talk artist. You can check out his work in a bunch of different places, including his own Patreon, patreon.com/SteveMann, and Infamous Plan for the work you do for us. Thank you, everyone. That is going to do it for Weekly Manga Recap this week. We'll check next time.
I just want to give a real quick an extra plug then to the Discord, which once again you guys can check out. And if you want to, you can also send in recommendations there, as well as discuss the current manga recommendation we're doing. We're doing monthly rereads of certain things. So right now we're doing a reread of the World Trigger Invasion arc, if you'd like to go check that out. Tons of stuff there. Go check it out. You get the links over on our YouTube, or not our YouTube, our Twitter, and I'll try to include it with our YouTube as well.
We're going to have... God damn it, Chris. We're doing new things. That means that I need to update my script for when I thank people at the end. Why do you make me do extra work?
Yeah, I know. You've got it down so pat already.
Just when I was mastering it almost.
That's going to do it. All right.